Yeah, hello, welcome everybody, good morning. I'm Felix, and this is Maragot. This is our presentation, Find or Lose Love in Our Virtual Times. And I tell you a bit about Maragot. Maragot is 25, she is from France.
Yes,
and as you maybe can see, she is really tall, but don't tell her. I bet she gets upset about that. No, really? Okay. And she is a journalist and as well an author since the book. And the funny thing about her is maybe that she has a weird passion about old people. We don't know why, but she really likes old people. And as well she thinks that Brussels is the best city in the world. I don't know, but maybe she can tell you more about that.
Good morning, everyone. So this is Felix. As you can see, he loves to wear grandpa pulleys. There is a link. There is kind of a link. Besides his job as illustrator and graphic designer, he also paints fine arts on canvas. He thinks that Berlin is the best city in the world, and of course, he never heard about Brussels, for sure. So, we are going to start with this. Let me start by telling you a short story. My grandmother was a very charismatic woman. She was coming from north suburbs in the north of Paris, so working class, and she studied art in the French capital. She was very talented and ended up drawing necklaces for very famous jewelers. So she was drawing necklaces that cost even more than she ever had. And during summertime, she came on the shore of Geneva Lake to attend to a wedding. There she met my grandfather, of course, at a wedding. It's a bit cliche, but well. But it was a sailor, a rowing champion, and a fisherman from the lake. They deeply fall in love, and they see each other, they saw each other 4 or 5 times before getting married. So there was another generation and another time. But when they turned 45, they decided to fulfill a common dream. It was going around the world with a boat that my grandfather constructed himself. So my grandfather did the first round of the world alone with my grandmother, and the second one alone, because she came back to raise me. And they stayed more than a decade geographically separated. So that's huge. And at the end, they ended up together in another form of love until the end. So to me, they lived like an unconditional love story. And actually, if I compare it with my actual context, so virtual kind of love seems really tasteless to me. So with changing the context, I needed to adapt my situation and also create new unconventional paths. And this book is the result. I wanted to use the current code from the Tinder generation and mix it with the values taught in my childhood. So I asked all my friends that were using the app, and I just realized that they were more frustrated and sad than before. They were all disillusioned, and they didn't trust people anymore. But then when I get deeper in the conversation, I just realized that they all have, no matter gender, social context, or sexual orientation, they all have imagination and fantasy. And that was exactly what I wanted them to express with me. So I started this way. So they have much more to offer than love on a screen. And of course, a friend of mine told me, but Margot, if you want to write this book, you have to test Tinder before. I was really against it, but she created me a profile. Okay, so she just wrote the languages I speak, my height, it seems that it's really important on Tinder, I don't know, and 2 pictures. So I had matches with guys, and they all started a conversation with one stereotype, a different one. So some of them were like, oh my God, I never had a girl taller than me. But I love the challenge, we should meet. Oh, I never had a girl that has shorter hair than me. Let's have a coffee. Or the last one is like, oh, you look like a lesbian. I really like it, we should meet. Yes, so I was really surprised in a way. And the lack of imagination. So I just deleted the app one day after. because I had the impression to pick tomatoes at a supermarket. But the worst thing is, I'm sure if I've met one of these guys in real life, that would be totally different. So to me, it's a bit a waste. So next one, as you can see. So maybe more about the context during the book creation. So this book is born at a lunch break. We had a fatty barbecue at the office in Stellwerk, for the one who knows it. And I was simply asking one question. How did you meet your past lovers? I just wanted to do the talking, okay? And we are pretty close with the colleagues, so it was easy going. And I was really surprised and a bit disappointed by the answers. And of course, the conversation ended up at being a debate of how difficult it is to meet people, especially here in Basel. I was really surprised. And of course, Tinder was mentioned. We tell crazy stories, and we fantasize about a book on how to meet your lover. But as we love a bit dark humor and absurdity, we think, why shouldn't we have the leaf part on the other side, so the blue part? And well, the song 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover from Paul Simon did the rest. So it was easy. This book is not great literature, so please be indulgent. I wrote 60 stories, I think, in 2 months with a 150% job. Sorry, Hadi. And so I don't want you to think that it's literature, but of course I had doubts and everything. But I knew that what I get, like all these stories, are really a treasure. All a treasure to me. But it was also a big challenge because that's a new medium for me. As I was working as a journalist, I recorded my friends, so I had this huge sound data I wanted to use. I used it for a radio art project, but many of my friends didn't want it to be broadcast on radio. So that was also a new medium for me. I was writing serious articles about social issues, cultural events, multiple gender stories and everything. I really wanted to put the human in the center of my story. And since I'm working for this publisher, Helvetic, I realized that I could do it. I can be subjective in a way and take responsibility for it. So that's so different than being a journalist. And that was really exciting. And of course, fiction was the best way to express it. And so I used fiction to express myself. And of course, it wasn't a newspaper that you will throw the day after. That would be a book that would last. Because come on, who here, radio show a second time? Not so many people. So that was the way people won't consume my stories, but this book will last and slows the rhythm down. So that was also very important to me. And of course, I would probably write this book completely differently in 5 years, even in 1, because my context will change. And so maybe more now about the content. So the concept is really simple. It's just a short stories compilation to inspire people. I'm not trying to be more realistic here or to say how people should act. There is not like a stories that you should follow. Of course not. But I just wanted to show people that you lose nothing if you dare. You absolutely lose nothing. And of course, I decided to use a light tone, so a bit of humor to convey deep messages. So there is no shame. There is no reason to feel ashamed. Shame could be also absurdity and can seduce. I'm convinced by that, so yeah. Good timing too. So taking the time, because we are always in a rush, but I think to get to know someone, you need to slow the rhythm down and to get to know each other with time. Everyone has imagination, like I said, and you don't need to be really beautiful to dare and to go to people. It's more with imagination you can seduce them. And of course, to me, diversity is kind of the new normality. I tried in my stories to speak to everyone, so no gender, heterosexual, homosexual, everything. So that was also really important to me. And online is pretty fake. Everyone is trying to look perfect online, but actually the small defects are also part of the seduction process. And maybe more about the stories now. So I took 3 examples for the meet and the leave. So you can create a cafe situation at the station, so cafe atmosphere. You imagine a girl or a guy on the other side of the platform that disappears with the train every morning. You have this look where you don't know what to do. And he's always with one coffee in the end. And once he has 2 coffees, you think, okay, this asshole should have a girlfriend or boyfriend. And he's teasing me with the eyes, so okay. That was everything in my head. And then you hear by your right side, are you more tea or coffee? And you say, oh my God. And then the guy comes with a napkin, with spoons, with sugar, with a small cup, and he creates like a cafe atmosphere. And the day after he says, okay, I'm more coffee, so tomorrow I'll bring back coffee. And honestly, it worked for a friend of mine. So that's the tip. If you're more adventurous or shy, I don't know, maybe shy, you can just write a love letter, and send it randomly by post. And you will get an answer. Believe me, I don't know which kind of answer, but you will get one. You can also organize a recycling party. So you come with a friend or ex-boyfriend or your brother, I don't know, and you share. So you share. It's really altruistic. So, and you can meet people, and he can meet people, and I think it's really lovely to do it this way. And you can also be creative by leaving someone. So you can find a perfect substitute. So you're at, I don't know, at a bar or something, and you come with the person who will replace you. Of course, it has to be a great person. Please choose a person well. You can also create a breakup playlist with cheesy songs. It could help to pass the message. Or to be really radical, you can just move out, and that could work too. And of course, to put this text in a good shape and everything, I needed Felix to create the design, and he did very well.
Wait.
Sorry.
Before I start talking about the design, about the illustrations and the ideas on the layout, I would like to tell you the story how I got into the project and how I met Maragot. Because for me it feels still a bit unreal to see the book right now, because I met Maragot the first time during the summer at a barbecue with friends we have in common. And there I told her that I was looking for a new job as a graphic designer, and she's told me, yeah, I'm working at Delevaux and we're looking for an internship there. And I thought, okay, maybe I can apply for that. But actually I was looking for a normal workplace. So I had a call with Hardy, and it was really nice and great, but we didn't come together in the first round. And it makes me a bit sad. But then, lucky me, I got an email a few weeks later if I'm still interested in the job. Because then they looked really for a complete workplace as a graphic designer. And yeah, we had a meeting again with Hadi, me, and in this meeting he told me about this idea of this book, where he said, we want to make a book about finding and losing love, and we need ideas for the layout and for some illustrations, and maybe I can start working on that to see if it fits and if I then fit to the team. So as you can see now, I'm standing here, so it went well for me. And yeah, after I signed, I got a call from Maragot, and this was the second time where we had contact again after the barbecue. And she said, hey, nice to meet you again in the team. Hey, can you make the illustrations and the book layout in the next 3 weeks until the print deadline? And I said, oh, whoa, are you kidding? I mean, it's before my official first day, and it's still besides my current job, you know. And I said, oh man, maybe I can only make the illustrations. So we find then nice solutions where we spread it, the work, you know, and through the team. So I was really only concentrating on the illustrations. But before that, as I told you, I tried to make first steps and attempts on the layout, and this were the first ideas we had. The first one was the colorful idea, because we thought the book has to be really loud and aggressive and offensive, you know, like the stories in the book. So crying, not screaming for attention, like the generation of Instagram, you know, everyone is showing his favorite site, you know, on the internet, and crying and looking and screaming for attention. So this was the idea behind this really offensive design. And as well, we had the idea not only to make a book with nice illustrations and text, as well it was an idea to make it useful. So we had the idea to make things like levels of difficult or levels of courage. So, you know, okay, when I want to try this story in my life, maybe it's too hard. Okay, 2 points, easy. So this was the idea behind that. But then we recognized quickly that it looks more like the setting screen of a fancy video game from the 80s. So it wasn't fitting at the end, really, the idea. And as well, we came to the conclusion that the colors, the text and the illustrations later, they drown in the colors. So this is not really comfortable to read and to see directly the illustrations. So we had in the second attempt the idea to make it more puristic and more clear. And this layout is still until now for the book right now the base for the layout here, but I didn't create it at the end. So yeah, this were the thoughts about that. And for the illustrations, I was inspired the first moment by cartoons and illustrations from the 50s, because I really loved to watch cartoons, and when I was younger it was part of my growing up. So I thought maybe it would be nice to try it in this book, but for the first attempt here with this more abstract design, I felt, okay, this is not the clear thing I want to show. So then I had the idea of the right illustration to make it more simple and direct with big black outlines, with wobbly lines, and like a sticker or a badge, which you really can better reuse on the photo we used in the background. And so we decided to make this in this style because it's as well more rough and filthy a bit. So like the stories, because they are really direct and clear, with their language. And this was the idea, to make it with this design that it fits to the stories. For the colors and for the look as well, as I said, I tried to make it more a bit like this filthy look, like Bad Boy, or this aggressive style like snipping a cigarette to a girl. And it's a meat story, come on, it works. And as well for the colors, we decided to make the leaf stories, or the illustrations for leaf in blue, because it's cold, to leave someone. And for the meat stories, we decided to make it in red, and to make for a neutral color to get the connection, we decided to make it in yellow as well. And of course then we thought, okay, this is nice, because then we have still the idea of this offensive and loud book from the first ideas from this colorful layout. So we thought then, okay, let's make then the illustrations really colorful. And while creating the illustrations, I had first some ideas to use photos which are a bit sexy and really offensive to people, but then we thought maybe it's a bit too much sometimes. So like this hummus boy here.
Too much naked men. We had so many.
We had to delete a lot of pictures. And as well, when I created the pictures, I had some restrictions, like not using fonts, because then it's easier to publish the book in different languages, so I don't have to recreate every illustration with font. So this is why you see on the right side, for example, there were two restrictions, a bit too aggressive, the saying there, and as well font. So I had to change my ideas to make it more symbolized. And this was the process behind that. And maybe for you, interesting to know that I'm not only an illustrator and graphic designer, I make also fine art besides my job as graphic designer. And for me, this is a bit my personal context I struggle with sometimes, because for me, I love graphic design, but my passion is real fine art and painting. And for me, it's interesting to see the difference between both cases, because when I make, for example, an illustration like that or digitally, it's like it's not real for me. It's just a file on the computer, and you can copy it. But when I do a painting or a sketch, it's really a unique artwork I have. So this is for me more real now. And as well, when you try to make something and it doesn't work, on a computer, for example, you have a shortcut to go back, and so it's there's no feeling sometimes. It's just a file and not real. So that's my personal context to handle this side of my life, and as well the other part was the fine art. That's my stuff I wanted to tell. And
You finished?
Yeah. No, not yet.
Sorry.
Well, maybe something cheesy now. It's my favorite author, Albert Camus, and he told there is merely bad luck in not being loved, there is misfortune in not loving. So I think we can all fight the misfortune by being just creative, and it will help a lot. Thank you.
Sorry for the interruption.
No worries.
Now there's the moment to ask questions, if you have any. They can be personal.
No, I do have a question actually, if I may. You mentioned that online is fake, which I think is a very nice hashtag and all, but since many people nowadays meet online, this is, I guess, the major means of meeting people.
I don't think.
Do you have the statistics for that? Because my question actually is, do you believe that we have lost the grip of reality?
Of course.
If our society only meets online and
No, sorry. Sorry,
I asked that question, right?
Yeah, I think because, like this moment when people just lying there, yeah, we met in a museum. No, you just met on Tinder, just, like, take credit for it. It's to me, I don't know, you want to, even in the way you met online, you want to create a new reality. I think it's really silly to do it because you can meet everywhere, I think. And people just don't dare to look at each other. I've got often this feeling in Basel, people are walking like this, like eyes down. Of course you can have a bad day for sure. Of course everyone has it, but sometimes you just like pop up looking around you and you see that people are looking at you, and not only in a love perspective, also to meet people easily. And I think, we should do it more, like just pop up the head and look at each other. Also in the tram or everywhere. I don't know.
More questions?
Nothing more? Well, you
Well,
can
I've got a
also...
second question.
Okay, go for it.
I always have questions, so she knows this.
It's okay. Go for it. It's your turn.
When was the book finished?
It was in October.
In October. So
Yeah.
would you believe that you might have written it differently, considering the hashtag #MeToo nowadays?
Oh wow, that's a really good question. I don't think so, because I thought about it a lot, like the way guys act with women and everything, and I don't think it's rude to go in a nice way to someone and being creative and dare to go to someone. I don't think women should always react like, no, don't go into my space, of course, but it always depends the way it's done. But I think, I really try to put it in my text also that you don't have, of course you have to be direct, but you don't have to insist. And that's think about why girls are a bit like with this hashtag #MeToo, because guys insist, they don't respect them. So it's different, I think.
Okay. Some more questions? Ronnie?
Are you sure?
Yeah, or you can ask him personally later on. Well, thank you very much. It was very interesting. We don't want to make it a selling show, but you can buy it over there. Maybe it's a nice Christmas gift, and you can let it. You would sign it for.
If you like.
If you like, they would sign it. Okay, and don't forget our next event is the 27th of January, and we will be at Mint. This is this guy's place. We're looking forward to that change. Thank you very much for coming. Have a nice Christmas holiday. Thank you.
Thank you.